Well, hey all, and welcome back. And I've got another toy here from Shozi Store that you all got to check out. This is the Astrobots Vulkan. Now, if you have seen the Astrobots before, they've actually made figures for quite a while. And you might be familiar with the one that's on the cover of their comic. Now, this has just come out within the past few months, so it's kind of cool that they're actually having sort of some lore and media to go along with the toys. You do get a glimmer of this character in the comic, but there is no prominent role, at least as of the first issue. But I'm the kind of person, I buy a first issue, and if I dig it, which I do, then I tend to get the trade paperback so I can get all the issues. But let's go ahead and check out the package for what we've got. Now, we have a pretty decent photo on the front. It looks like there's some weathering and distressing on this as if he's been working in the mines. We got the lights illuminated. And then on the side, we have a blue monochromatic image of Vulkan. On the back, we have some nice technical drawings. Some illustrations, as you can see, match the style from the comic book. Description of it. Who designed it, which I really... Now, this is actually something awesome that more mecha toys need to do, is have credits for the designer. So many things, like, say, for example, Hasbro gets well-designed, and you never know who was responsible for it. And that's something that's sort of really cool from the art toy world, but definitely needs to be carried on through mecha designs. So anyway, that is the packaging. Let's go ahead and get this open and see if it's worthy of our collection. And here we have Vulkan out of the package, and as far as what's in the package, this is it. We have a blister pack with the figure inside, but no instructions or manuals. The only hint of anything is we have a little thing here on the box tab that shows you the instructions for installing batteries. However, I do not have this specific battery on hand. I did try a smaller one and a larger one. Neither one seemed to get the LED to light up, so I cannot give you an accurate reporting of how well these light up or if they work at all. But we can get into other things like articulation, mass, and as well as aesthetic. This has some brilliant hard edges on it. Really nicely sculpted, nice details, lots of contrasting colors, printing, as well as tampos and whatnot. I think the overall aesthetic of this figure is really good, and I really think they capture the illustration style of the graphic novel. Now, one thing to note about this green, there is a little bit of, I would say, lime or something that pulls the green into a more toy aesthetic. And I think really where that comes through is we have a lot of panel line details on here, and it just doesn't bring out their contrast. So I think adding a little bit of panel lining to this figure would compensate for that greatly. But with that said, it is still a very interesting design. I love the legs of this. I think the chunky legs with the great articulation, being able to have this wide stance legs, I think that's great. I love the additional arms coming off the shoulders, the drills, all the different little mechanical bits in between. I think they really knocked this out of the park visually. And of course, if this color isn't for you, there is another version coming out that is molded slightly differently and comes in a different color. It'd be actually interesting if we see a whole array of these in a rainbow of colors. Now, even though this is a fairly large figure, it's actually larger than I expected, it is a very light figure. You may have expected this to be a very chunky display figure, but just be known, there is no die cast, it is all plastic, and because of that, it will feel a little bit more toy-like. Just be aware that when you get it, it's not going to be an extremely hefty figure. To give you an idea of size, let's compare him to a couple figures. Here he is with a modern G1 Voyager/Leader class size figure. As you can see, it towers over it, and it scales pretty well. And here he is with a figure from Mastermind Creations. And actually one reason I pull this out is because there's a lot of similarities in the way these figures feel, as far as plastic weight, quality, things along those lines, as well as what we're about to get into, articulation. And as for articulation and other gimmicks, this thing is loaded. So we can go ahead and start at the bottom here. We have, this is just brilliant as far as the feet go. I love this foot design, but what we have in here is a series of multiple joints. We get the toe forward, we have tilting there, but also we have this part that moves that allows this to cover the joint. And you can get a decent bit of posability out of here, almost like a Hooven look right here. We have just loads of articulation there. And as far as the knee goes, we have a good bend at the knee. We have a nice indent there that allows for that to fold up, and some nice mechanical detail up front as well to hide any of the movement. We have rotation here at the thigh, and then at the hip, we can go out this far, forward this far, and back this far, which is a fairly good range of movement for as chunky as this figure is. When we look at waist rotation, we've got some right there. We have forward and back at the waist. This part here can kind of be moved out if you really want to go back, but I rather leave it installed because it's not enough to justify it. And then over here, we have some head movement. It's a little bit tricky to move the head because you have all this coverage here, but you can move it left, right, rotate it, look up, down, which is actually pretty good considering how deep it is inside the shoulders. Then over here, let's move these drill bits out of the way. We have a butterfly joint on this shoulder, which is really awesome. Look at that. Then we have rotation. This shoulder joint has movement. Rotation above the bicep. Nice double jointed elbow. Come back. We have rotation. So we have full movement at the wrist. And the thing is, you gotta be a little bit delicate here because we have so many fingers that can move. But yeah, we have, you can see the joint in there. Move the hand in and out, rotate it. And then each finger has its own articulation. It's also broken up nicely with these dark fingertips and the orange plate on top of the hand. Then, on top of all that, we have these shoulder drills. So this has a ratcheting joint up and down. You can rotate it. Have another joint on the outside of that, so you can clear things pretty well. It has its own double jointed elbow. And so we have these drill bits here, but what's cool is these drill bits are actually covers. And they snap together, but they can come off like so. And then within that, we have another articulated hand. And I actually prefer this hand. This plastic's pretty light. It's not super thin, but it's very light, and so it doesn't feel substantial. But I think these hands, this is really the reason I wanted this, were these awesome grippy claws that are on the shoulders. But visually, this thing's really cool. It's got lots of great articulation, and I'm pretty happy with the quality overall. That said, it is a little bit of a light figure, but even though it's still pretty cool. But once again, I'd like to thank Shozi Store for sending this out to me. Let us know in the comments below if this is worthy of your collection. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.